So, in anything you are doing as a person, whether you call it hustling, whether you call it working to earn your money, whatever definition you give it or term you give it, as long as you're making money through that very means, and you find frustration, no matter how little, and you find something like desperation in that very thing that you are doing to get your money, it's either you stop now or you will still regret later. Go back to the drawing board and do something. Now, this message includes everybody, almost everybody, especially the younger ones who are still trying to figure out where they're actually going to their path, who haven't really found purpose. Now, understand that the rich people are also included, because most times people can actually make money through a different means, not really their purpose. That is when they get money and say money is not everything. I've seen a lot of rich people who still are unhappy. Reason is because they are not yet in their path. That is when you realize that truly money is not everything. You make money to a certain length, then you realize that this is why they find things. It's not really everything. But then when you make money through a means that is actually in line with your purpose, trust me, you feel fulfilled. Even before you arrive there, you're already feeling fulfilled. And this brings me back to what I actually started this discussion with. If you are actually hustling, working, struggling, working 9 to 5, making content, and whatever you are doing, being a boss to earn a living, make sure that you are actually aligned in purpose, because definitely it's going to come back to haunt you. So how do you find purpose? Now, most of the times we find purpose not from what we learn in school, not from what we see in school, but instead mostly visible even when we are small. That is the reason why parents are the gods of children. It is your duty to figure things out when they are small and nurture them. I keep saying this, parenting is not for everybody. If you can't do this, then leave. See, we can do better by changing the society we always claim that you want to do, by even start with parenting. Let's change the upbringing, the mindset of these kids. Once you see these things, guide them into that very thing. Stop telling them they will be doctor. Stop telling them they will be nurse, they will be priest. I want to be mama and father. That makes no sense. Stop forcing kids into things they don't like. Pay attention to them. Pay attention to their skill level, pay attention to their IQ level, pay attention to the things they're most interested in. And if you've grown up to be an adult and you realize that your parents have actually failed you in that very area, it is your duty to find out exactly. See, the only way you can actually achieve this is by doing it independently. You can't achieve it by trying to find out who you are by people's validation or by people's definition. They will give you a version of who you are not. Everybody wants everybody to be small. Not because they want to rise, but they want to be at the same level. It is only when you get to a certain level you know that growth is mostly independent. And when you follow through the protocols and process of being independent with growth, you will come to a certain level where growth will now be attracting those who have like minds. That is when networking, real networking starts. Find out what your heart yearns for. The reason why you've not been able to find out this thing is because we are in a very, very noisy environment. I was listening to Steve Jobs' talks when they were about to launch Apple. And they were looking at the market, and he made something that was shocking. They were actually looking at the marketing strategy, and he started his opening speech with, the world is noisy. Jesus Christ. I said, far back, I've been shouting the world is noisy, the world is noisy. So the world has been noisy far back. Now compare it to this moment, we have a lot of things that distract us every millisecond. Find yourself by separating yourself from the noise for the moment. Find out who you used to be before the world told you who you were not. You used to be someone. In your head, you had dreams. But it all died when you started gathering a lot of people you call friends. Friends with little minds, small myopic minds, who can dream, but rather always there to steal and drain your energy. Go back to the drawing board and find out who you were before they defined you or redefined you. And if you're able to find out who you were, who you become will definitely start making sense to you. And once you go in that very line, that very thing that you're actually called in your purpose, that is when, if you're hustling, the thing you call hustling, if you're now walking in that very path, it will be very easy. You will start seeing those things you are applying, frustration and desperation, you start replacing them with patience, joy, and you start sensing fulfillment even before it arrives. Go back to the drawing board. Let's change this society by changing our paths. Let's go back to who we were before the world of noise redefined us. I wish you well.